In this video, I want to talk a little bit more about the knitted dolls, one of which was in a video about the juvenile We the People quilt. This one right here. That now has a smile. I fixed the mouth on that a little bit. What you see around it are other variations of the same thing that I wanted to show you. I just have to put their faces on. But this is a little boy doll, done the same way. A little girl doll. And on this one, I actually put pink knitted strands for a skirt, but then red lucided strands. And that gives a little bit of a variation. It also has her sit up differently. And they do sit up. Now this one doesn't have skirts on it, but it's got an oversized head where it's got a beige circle, and then, let me see if I can change the light. That's actually a pale green, like a pastel green for a baby color. And it's kind of a personal thing. When my son was born, we brought him home in a mint green snowsuit. And all you could see, all you could see was the snowsuit. So this is a baby doll. And then this is a safety doll in bright orange. Orange is a hunting safety color so that you're noticed. I have found that using my walker and going to the store, it's good to have bright orange with me. I have a bright orange crocheted blanket that I keep on the walker. So that's a safety doll. If you have a child that's afraid, if you have an adult that's afraid, it's a safety doll. Now, and I probably have to switch the light again. In the back on the left is what I'm going to be making into a gingerbread doll. I have 3 buttons to sew on there. I have very fine yarn in white and like a beige, and I'm going to put the face on, and then what I may do is put more white yarn around the wrists and the ankles and make it look like a gingerbread person. And then there's a Santa doll. But what he needs is, and you can see he's got a hat and his black boots, and I'm going to take different Christmas color strands and give him a skirt. So he's not quite finished yet. But, oh, and one more. This is what I'm using as an animal doll. And as you can see, it's just like the beige one, only without the hat or the skirt. I have wrapped an extra strand around the neck to make the neck thicker, and another strand around underneath the arms that leaves a tail. Now, if I'm going to put a face on it, if I wanted to, I could use beige yarn and put 2 little ears, and you could say it's a cat, a dog, a monkey, but by adding an extra strand around the neck and putting a tail on like that, you have an animal. That one has a little bit more of trouble sitting up. You could even put like a little piece of pipe cleaner in the tail to get it to sit up better if you wanted to. So those are variations that you can make from this original pattern, which is back in my Etsy store. I had to renew the listings. So that's back in the store, and you can make all these different types of dolls from that one pattern just by using your imagination. Now, while I'm making this video, I want to show you another one that is actually done. This is I believe it's a Susan Bates medium knitter. And this is a corker, which is meant for bulky yarn. Now, by using those, you can make what I'm calling door dolls. Now, you can make these in any color. Mine are for red, white, and blue. And you make one long strand. This one is 2.5, about 30 inches long. So I started with a 60-inch long strand. one in the smaller knitted gauge, the purple one, and then one in the larger bulky gauge. And also in the bulky gauge are arms. But instead of sewing everything together here, this one is so much easier. You tie knots at the bottom for the feet. You tie the arms around the middle. You pull one strand through there, and what I have to do on these is just tack those together. So it looks like you have a person with a hat on. And then you have the two strands for the legs. And this can hang on your front door. So if you made them in Christmas colors, it would just be like putting I call them door dolls, but it would be like putting a bow on your front door. You could have them in Easter colors, you could have them in Halloween colors, you could make them spooky if you wanted to. So that one I started with 60-inch strands. Now there's something about this one that is really neat, but it's probably for an older child and not a toddler. I would say 7 years and up, depending on the child. Maybe even older than that. You can actually make one of these and then wear it as a scarf. The child could, and they could take their doll everywhere. Talk about the simplest doll. And I say 7 or 8 and older because you don't want it near any child that would actually get the strand stuck around their neck in any way. You want the child old enough to realize that they don't want it wrapped around their neck, but you can wear it without tying it under your chin. You can just toss it around your neck and take your doll anywhere. But again, parental guidance would be needed on that. Now, I also made a shorter version, which is about 18 inches tall, so about 36 inches on each strand. Same idea. Tie the arms together, 2 different size strands. Tie the legs, no sewing, just knitting. And that's a cute little door doll. So then there's those two. Now this one is a little bit more involved. This is a Barbie. Now this one has been in a couple of my videos, and she's got some extra strands on her waist that you don't need to do unless you want to. But you need a scrap piece of fabric. This one is about 3 inches by 2 3/4. You need 2 strands for the body in bulky on the corker. This one is about 10 inches long, and that would be for the arms. And the other one is about 24 inches long, and that's for the body. But the difference is you fold the longer one in half, and you can just cut these off after you put knots in the bottom for the feet. So you would knot the bottom for the feet, and then instead of just leaving this like it is, you tie this in a knot. And I have to hold the camera, so you tie a knot in your strands. You then, and I lost her face, after you tie the knot and you've got a knot tied here, you then knit a short strand of about 6 to 7 inches, and you'll be stitching the face to the knot. This will be a big knot. And then you take the fabric and you fit it around the knot like that. See, this gives the doll depth. So here's the knitted face attached to a knot. You take that scrap fabric, fold the raw edges under, and stitch it in place for hair. And I left, these are raw edges. In fact, you can see the knot under there. And then you can add a face if you want. I've left her without a face. You then go to, I have a new blog up called Singer Model 20 Sewing, and on there is the pattern for the Barbie doll dress. So at that point you would make a Barbie doll dress, but instead of using it on a Barbie doll or a mannequin, you actually use a sewing machine and sew it right to the doll. And what I've done, see, it's all lined. It's just like one of my Barbie dresses. It's all lined, and instead of sewing snaps and everything to close it, I put it in a machine and I stitched it here for about 1 inch. And I also stitched it here to each leg section that's under there. But you don't really notice that. And then I happen to put, I also stitched it here to hold it in place with the arms pulled through. So it's a great way to make a rag Barbie doll. And, you know, I wish I had the tripod set up and maybe I could actually do this one a little bit better for you. But I think you can tell by this one exactly how it's made. And I will put the link to the Barbie doll dress in the information section. And I added, I think I tied these bottoms, but I also added little pieces of pink yarn at the bottom. Now, what's great about this Barbie doll for kids is that she sticks right in your pocket. You can take this Barbie doll anywhere. And she is a Barbie size because that's the Barbie doll dress that fits her. So you could even make it as a first Barbie before you get to the plastic version of My First Barbie. So these are all different things that you can do with knitting spools, and these were made with Knitting Nancy's or That Gauge Knitter. These again would be for the door dolls or for the Barbie doll, and this would be for the door dolls. This makes a tighter strand. You could also make the Barbie doll out of this if you wanted to. If you can't find a corker, you just want it substantial enough to be bigger than tiny knitted strands. You want it to be a bulky weight so that when you tie a knot in the top, you have enough of a shape to put a face and the hair on. And other than how I stitched it, the dress to the actual doll, the rest of it is hand sewn. So again, more things that you can do with spool knitters to make very simple yet washable, portable, happy knitted dolls.